You're checking your credit score app. Tuesday night, you're on the couch, phone in hand. And there it is, 798. Almost perfect. You've been working on this for 3 years, paying everything on time, keeping your utilization below 30%, managing 5 different credit accounts to build a strong credit mix. And you feel it, that little hit of accomplishment. 798. That's excellent credit. That's financial responsibility. That's proof you're doing it right. Then you scroll down. Auto loan, $18,400 remaining. Credit cards, $3,200 balance across 3 cards. Furniture financing, $1,850 left. Phone, $680 remaining on the 24-month plan. Total debt, $24,130. Your credit score says you're excellent. Your bank account says you own almost nothing and owe $24,130 to various lenders. You're 32 years old with an 800 credit score and a negative net worth. And here's the part nobody talks about. That 800 score isn't measuring financial health. It's measuring how profitable you are to lenders. It's not a report card on wealth. It's a loyalty card showing banks how much interest you're likely to pay them over your lifetime. My name's Peter, and if you've ever felt proud of your credit score while simultaneously feeling broke, and you want to understand what credit scores actually measure and why optimizing for them keeps you in debt forever, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because the credit score system isn't designed to help you build wealth. It's designed to keep you borrowing. So let's start with what maintaining an 800 credit score actually requires you to do financially. You're making $63,000 a year, after taxes about $3,900 take home monthly, and you've structured your financial life to maximize your credit score. That means you have a car loan because installment loans boost your score, $425 a month, 60 months remaining. You have 3 credit cards that you use and pay off to show consistent activity, average balance $1,100, minimum payments totaling $85 monthly. You financed your furniture to build credit history, $95 a month, 20 months remaining. You're paying off your phone through your carrier, $28 a month, 14 months remaining. Total monthly payments just for credit building, $633. That's $7,596 annually. Over 5 years, $37,980. And most of that isn't going to principal. You're paying interest and fees so that lenders will consider you creditworthy. Now add your other fixed expenses. Rent, $1,520, student loans, $310, insurance and utilities, $285, groceries, $360. That's $2,475 in actual living expenses. Add the $633 in credit building payments, you're at $3,108. You've got $792 discretionary, and you're proud of your credit score because you're managing all these accounts responsibly, on time, every month, like you're supposed to. But here's what you actually own. Nothing. The car? The bank owns it. You've got 60 payments left. The furniture? Still financed. The phone? Locked in a payment plan. The credit cards? You're carrying balances to maintain utilization. Your 800 credit score represents your ability to service debt consistently, not your wealth, not your assets, your reliability as a borrower. And over the 5 years you've been building this excellent credit, you've paid approximately $32,000 in various loan payments and interest. You have an 800 score and $4,200 in savings. You're creditworthy and broke. Most people think the purpose of good credit is to qualify for better interest rates so you can afford bigger purchases, that good credit unlocks financial opportunity. That's not how it works. That's the trap. Here's what actually happens when you have excellent credit. You get approved for everything. Car loans, credit cards, furniture financing, phone installment plans, personal loans. And because you're approved, because the rate is good, because the monthly payment is manageable, you finance things you could have saved up for or gone without. The system is designed this way. Good credit doesn't give you access to wealth, it gives you access to more debt at slightly better terms. And accessing that debt keeps you in the payment cycle indefinitely. Let's look at the math. You financed a $28,000 car at 5.9% for 72 months. Because your good credit qualified you for a decent rate, your payment is $425. Over 6 years, you'll pay $30,600. The car will be worth maybe $11,000 when you're done. You paid $30,600 for an asset worth $11,000. You lost $19,600. But your credit score improved because you demonstrated ability to handle installment debt. The system rewarded you for making a financially destructive decision. Meanwhile, someone with bad credit couldn't get the loan, so they bought a $7,000 used car with cash. They own it outright. No payments, no interest. And 6 years later, that car is still worth maybe $3,500. They lost $3,500 in depreciation. You lost $19,600. They lost $3,500. But you have an 800 credit score and they have a 620. The system tells you that you won. The math says you lost. This is the credit score trap. It's a measurement system that rewards behavior that keeps you in debt while punishing behavior that builds actual wealth. There's a concept that's been circulating called owning nothing is expensive, and it's exactly this. The middle class has been conditioned to finance everything: cars, phones, furniture, appliances, because financing builds credit, and good credit is presented as a marker of financial success. But financing everything means owning nothing until you've paid far more than the item's worth. And by the time you own it, it's depreciated, and you're already financing the next thing. You're 28 and you finance a $1,400 phone over 24 months, $58 a month. By month 24, you've paid $1,400 for a phone now worth $400. But your carrier is already offering you the new model. Trade in your phone, start a new 24-month plan, $62 a month for the latest device. You do it because that's what everyone does. And now you're locked in for another 2 years. And in 2 years, same thing. You're perpetually paying $60 a month for phones you never own. Over 20 years, that's $14,400 in phone payments for devices you traded in before they were paid off. Someone with bad credit couldn't get the financing, so they bought a $250 used phone outright. They own it. They use it for 3 years, they replace it with another $300 phone. Over 20 years, they spend maybe $2,000 total on phones, and they own each one. You spent $14,400 and own nothing. They spent $2,000 and always owned their device. But you built credit doing it. The system rewarded you for the expensive choice. This pattern repeats across every category: furniture, appliances, electronics, vehicles. The middle class finances it all to build credit, and in doing so, they trap themselves in permanent payment plans while never accumulating assets. Now, here's the psychological mechanism that makes this particularly insidious. It's called the debt normalization cycle, and it works like this. You grow up seeing your parents with a mortgage, car payments, credit cards. Debt is just how life works. Then you get your first credit card at 22. You're told to use it and pay it off to build credit. So you do. You charge $200, pay it off, your score goes up. You feel responsible. Then you need a car. You finance it because that's what you do when you have good credit. $320 a month. Your score goes up because you're handling installment debt. You feel like you're progressing. Then you move into an apartment and need furniture. You finance $2,400 through the furniture store's credit program, $115 a month for 24 months. Your score improves. You're managing multiple accounts successfully. You're being responsible. And at no point do you question whether you should be financing furniture, because the system tells you this is good. This is how you build financial credibility. This is responsible money management. But here's what actually happened. You trained yourself to see debt as normal and payment plans as acceptable, and the credit score system reinforced that training by rewarding you with higher scores every time you took on more debt. Your brain adapted. Debt stopped feeling like debt and started feeling like financial structure. The $800 in monthly payments across various accounts stopped feeling like $800 leaving your account and started feeling like managing my credit responsibly. And this is incredibly powerful because it's not conscious. You genuinely believe you're being financially responsible. The system has given you a metric, credit score, that validates that belief. You're doing everything right according to that metric. But the metric is designed by lenders to measure your profitability to them, not your wealth accumulation for yourself. Let's talk about what this costs over a typical middle-class lifetime of good credit management. You start building credit at 22. You maintain good credit for the next 30 years by consistently using credit cards, financing cars, financing furniture, financing phones, managing various accounts. Age 22 to 27, credit cards with average $800 balance, car payment $290, phone payment $45, furniture and appliance financing $135. Average monthly, $550 in payments. Over 5 years, $33,000 in payments, roughly $4,500 of which is interest and fees. Age 28 to 35, upgraded car, $410 payment, credit cards at $1,200 average, phone $55, furniture and appliance financing $140. Average monthly, $720. Over 7 years, $60,480, roughly $9,200 interest. Age 36 to 45, another car upgrade, $480 payment, credit cards stable at $1,500, phone $60, various consumer financing $120. Average monthly, $790. Over 9 years, $85,320, roughly $12,800 interest. Age 46 to 52, final car before considering payoff, $450, credit cards at $2,000, phone $65, consumer debt $100. Average monthly, $815. Over 6 years, $58,680, roughly $10,200 interest. Total from age 22 to 52, you made $237,480 in payments related to consumer debt and credit building. Of that, roughly $36,700 was pure interest and fees. You spent $36,700 just to have the privilege of borrowing money for things that depreciated to near zero. And your credit score at 52? Probably around 810. Excellent. You did everything right according to the system. But here's the alternative. Someone who opted out of the credit game at 25. They had whatever credit score they had and stopped caring. They bought used cars with cash, $8,000 every 8 years. They bought phones outright, $300 every 3 years. They bought furniture used or saved up. They used one credit card for fraud protection but paid it off immediately and didn't care about utilization ratios. From 25 to 52, they spent roughly $68,000 on the same categories. No interest, no fees. They own everything outright. And the $169,480 difference? They invested it at 7% returns. At 52, they have approximately $438,000 in investments. The person with excellent credit has a credit score of 810 and maybe $45,000 in retirement savings. Same 27-year period. One optimized for credit score, one optimized for wealth. The difference is $393,000 in net worth. You're lying in bed. It's Wednesday night. You're thinking about your credit score again. 802. You just checked it. You're proud of it. You worked hard for it. But then you're thinking about your budget. about the $720 in various monthly payments, about how you can't seem to save more than $200 a month even though you make decent money, about how you're 34 and you don't really own anything yet. And that tightness in your chest, it's the slow realization that maybe the credit score isn't measuring what you thought it was measuring. Maybe having excellent credit and having excellent finances are different things. Maybe you've been optimizing for the wrong metric. But you can't just stop paying. You've got 48 months left on the car, 12 months on the furniture. The credit cards have balances. You're locked in. The system has you. So here's how people who actually build wealth think about credit scores. They don't. They're not trying to maintain 800. They're not worried about credit mix or utilization ratios. They have a credit card for fraud protection and convenience. They pay it off immediately. Their score is whatever it is, usually somewhere between 680 and 740. Good enough for a mortgage if they decide to buy, otherwise irrelevant. When they need a car, they save up and pay cash. Usually $8,000 to $12,000 for a reliable used vehicle. They own it immediately. No payment, no interest. When it dies, they replace it the same way. Their credit score doesn't change because they're not using credit. They don't care. When they need furniture, they buy used or they save up. They don't finance a couch. They either buy a $200 couch from someone moving, or they save $1,200 and buy new. Either way, they own it immediately. When they need a phone, they buy last year's model outright for $400. They use it for 3 years. No payment plan, no trade-in cycle. They own the phone. And here's what happens. They have $720 more per month than the person building credit. That's $8,640 a year. Over 10 years, invested at 7%, that's $119,000. They're not impressive to lenders. Their credit score is mediocre. They don't have the nice installment loan mix. They're not credit-worthy in the way banks define it, but they own everything they have. They're debt-free, they're accumulating wealth, and they sleep fine because they're not worried about making next month's 6 different payments. Meanwhile, the person with the 800 score is making those payments, is worried about maintaining the score, is locked into the debt cycle, and has $3,800 in savings after 10 years. The person with the mediocre score has $119,000 in investments, but the credit score system says the person in debt is more responsible. The system is designed to reward behavior that enriches lenders, not behavior that enriches you. Now, let me be very clear about something. There are legitimate uses for credit. If you're buying a house and you need a mortgage, good credit saves you money on interest rates. That's real. A 6.5% rate versus a 7.5% on a $300,000 mortgage saves you about $180 a month. Over 30 years, that's significant. But you don't need an 800 score for good mortgage rates. You need about 740. And you can have 740 without financing cars and furniture and phones. You can have 740 with one credit card that you pay off monthly and a thin credit file. That's sufficient. The push to get to 800, to maintain excellent credit, to have the perfect credit mix, that's not about qualifying for necessary loans at good rates. That's about keeping you in the debt cycle permanently, so you remain profitable to lenders. And the cost of staying in that cycle is enormous. It's not just the interest you pay, it's the opportunity cost of what that money could have become if you'd invested it instead of paid it to lenders. So here's the thing about credit scores. They're not measuring your wealth. They're measuring your willingness to borrow and your consistency in paying back what you borrow. That makes you a good customer for banks. It doesn't make you financially secure. You can have an 800 credit score and be broke. You can have a 680 credit score and be wealthy. The score doesn't tell you which, but the system presents the score as the goal, and in pursuing that goal, you adopt behaviors that keep you in debt. The person chasing the 800 finances everything to build credit mix and payment history. The person ignoring the score buys what they can afford and owns it outright. 10 years later, one has excellent credit and no assets. The other has mediocre credit and substantial wealth. The question isn't whether you can get approved for a loan. The question is whether you should be taking loans at all, and the credit score system is designed to make you never ask that question. If you want to see exactly how the people who ignore their credit score actually live and why actively choosing to look poor is the ultimate wealth-building cheat code, click the video on your screen right now. Stop optimizing for the bank's profitability and start optimizing for your freedom. I'll see you there.